Hi guys, Sujad Hussain again with a new video. In this video, I am going to explain you how to design and detail a seismic category C structure. And of course, I am following the same book as I explained you before in my last video. I am considering this book as a reference book. This is Design of Low-Rise Reinforced Concrete Building based on IBC 2009, ASC 705 and ACI 31808. I took one of the examples in my last video, and that example was design of a 4-story building in seismic category A and B. Mainly I designed this building in seismic category B. This building was like this. This building was a 4-story building and the plan is like this. It has 6 bays in X direction and 5 bays in Y direction. There are openings also. The slab is a flat slab. All the columns are 20 by 20. Beams on the periphery are 20 inch by 24 inch. This example I solved with ETABS, and what we found that the design of the slab is exactly same as whatever is presented in this book, but there is some difference in the beams. The result from ETAB shows less reinforcement than whatever is calculated over here. Now we will go for the same example and we will consider that this building lies in a seismic category C, is a seismic category C building. So let's go to the explanation. Now this chapter 5 of this book, it explains the design and detailing for seismic category C building. So let us explain what are the basic requirements in seismic category C building and how it is different than seismic category B building. As I explained to you, if we go to chapter 21, and we know that chapter 21, it's paragraph 21.1.2, it explains various categories and what we have to follow or what we have to do if we are going to design a seismic category B building. That means if a structure is seismic category B, we should satisfy 21.1.2. that means this building is a simple building and we will follow the standard practice as per ACI 318. But if the building lies in seismic category C, then we have to follow 21.1.2 and 21.1.8 also. So now we will see what are the additional requirements and what will be the impact of this design, impact of seismic category C design on the same structure. So let's go back to the book. It says that for concrete building which are assigned to seismic category C, all members must be designed and detailed in accordance with the general requirements of ACI 318 chapter 1 to 19, which is the same thing as explained in the code. And if it has intermediate moment frame that are part of the seismic resisting force, the system, it must also satisfy the provisions of ACI 21.3. Now load combinations, as I explained before, that the load combinations are given in IBC code and it's IBC para 16.502. The same load combination is given in ASC 705. Same load combination is given in ACI 318. So if we go to ASC 705, then we see that the load combinations are given here. It's in chapter 2. The load combinations are here. And then I explained that especially for load combination number 5. Here the coefficient for earthquake is taken as 1, but it is explained that this can be taken as 0.5 if the load is less. So what actually has been done in this example, in this solved example, the load combination considered was as with a factor of 0.5 with live load. But when we generate this load combination in ETAB, we notice that we have only one load combination, and the load combination takes 100% load for the live load, 100% live load in these load combinations. So that was one difference. We do not have a choice to select whether we should select a factor of 0.5 or one with live load in this load combination. And second thing is that because of this seismicity, we have to consider load combinations with seismic effect. That I will explain later. So now in this example, we will first check what is the impact of the design of a slab or a flat slab system if the building is designed as per SDCC conditions. So let us see what is provided over here. Sorry. Yeah. The factors or parameters we should consider for a two-way slab system without beams. It is explained very clearly over here. A summary is given in table 5.2 below, which I will explain. And this condition is very important. It says that the two-way slab without beams may be considered part of seismic force resisting system in the building assigned to SDC B and C, but are not permitted in SDC D or above. That means the slab system should be considered as seismic force resisting system. And if we consider this, then what we have to do, the provisions for effective width of the reinforcement placement in edge and corner columns are illustrated in ACI figure 21.3.6.1. We will see what is the meaning of the provisions of ACI figure R21.3.6.1. And note that the moment slab, M slab, refers to the portion of the factored slab amount. It refers to the factored slab moment that is balanced by the supporting members at a joint for a given design load combination and with seismic effect E. Whenever we are talking about the load combination which has the seismic effect E, that means we are talking about load combination number 5 as per ACI 318, or the same thing in IBC or ASC 7. So let us see what are the requirements to design is a two-way slab without beam in building assigned to SDC-C. The first thing is all reinforcement provided to resist M slab, the portion of the slab moment balanced by the support moment must be placed within the column strip defined in ACI 13.2.1. So let us go to this related section 21.3.6.1 and let us see what does it mean. We will go to ACI 318 21.3.6.1. Here is the related portion. 21.3.6 says two-way slabs without beam. So that means if we are designing a two-way slab without beams, then we have to follow these conditions or these parameters. It says, number 1, the factored slab moment at support including earthquake effect E, the same thing which is reproduced over there, shall be determined for load combinations given in equation 9.5 and 9.7. Reinforcement provided to resist M slab shall be placed within the column strip defined in para 13.2.1. And what is M slab? M slab is the moment M slab refers for a given design load combination with E acting in one horizontal direction to that portion of the factored slab moment that is balanced by the supporting member at a joint. It is not necessarily equal to the total design moment at support for a load combination including earthquake effect. And in accordance with para 13.5.3.2, only a fraction of the moment M slab is assigned to the slab effective width. For edge and corner connections, flexure reinforcement perpendicular to the edge is not considered fully effective unless it is placed within the effective slab width. Further explanation is there. What is the meaning of slab width? Effective slab width means we have to consider both sides space which is 1.5 times thickness of the slab, or it should be less than or equal to CT, where CT is the dimension of the column within the slab. So this side and on this side, that include plus the column, this is called total effective width of the slab. So the reinforcement must be provided within this range and in the column strip. And if the slab is continuous only on one side, then the effective width is reduced as per this diagram. And this is the direction of the moment. The location of the reinforcement in slab. So if this is the column strip, then we have to place the reinforcement over here. All reinforcement to resist M slab to be placed in column strip. This is as per ACI 21.3.6.1. So we always consider this column strip as defined before, and we should place all reinforcement to resist M slab within this area. Now, going back to these conditions, the reinforcement placed within an effective slab width defined in ACI 13.5.3.2 must be proportional to resist the moment gamma times F into M slab, where gamma F is determined by ACI equation 13.1. You can see that equation, and then it should be divided by like this. Then these are the important conditions. like not less than one half of the reinforcement in the column strip at the support shall be placed within effective slab width defined in ACI 13.5.3.2. This is as per para 21.3.6.3. Here. And these conditions are explained here very well in this figure. That means top and bottom reinforcement to be developed as per ACI section 21.3.6.6 and 7. Here, not less than 1/3 of the top reinforcement should be provided at the bottom, and in the middle of the strip or middle of the span, not less than 1/4 of the top reinforcement at the support. So whatever reinforcement is provided here, this should not be less than 25% of the reinforcement which is provided over here. This is the column strip. Similarly, in middle strip, top and bottom reinforcement to be developed, that means they should have enough development length. And here, this reinforcement shall not be less than half of the bottom reinforcement at mid span. So all these conditions, they are mentioned here in section number 21.3.6, 5, 4, etc. And the same thing is tabulated over here. That means not less than 1/4 of the top reinforcement at the support and the column strip shall be continuous throughout the span. Continuous bottom reinforcement in the column strip shall not be less than 1/3 of the top reinforcement. Now 21.3.6.6, not less than 1/2 of the bottom middle strip reinforcement, and all bottom column reinforcement at mid span shall be continuous and shall develop Fy at the face of the support. So these requirements of having developed Fy at the faces, these are important. So one should check this, and of course detailing is developed in ETABS, but one has to check that these requirements are met. Next, at continuous edge of the slab, all top and bottom reinforcement at the support shall be developed at the face of the support as defined in ACI 13.6.25. This is the requirement of 21.3.6.7. At the critical section for the column defined in ACI 11.11.1.2, two-way shear caused by factor gravity load shall not exceed 0.4 times 5 times VC, where VC is calculated by ACI 11.11.2.1. So that means you have to check the punching shear also. The slab should be safe against punching also. Now, having explained all these requirements for a two-way slab system, in designing a building which is assigned a seismic category C, let us see what has been done in this problem. This is the problem given, same thing, and it is said that the seismic design category is C, where SDS is 0.41, SD1 is 0.15, rest is the same. Now they say determine reinforcement in slab along column line 4, which is in the middle of the building. And what is explained over here, see, this is very important. It says that since the slab is not part of the lateral force resisting system, it is designed for the effects due to gravity loads only. Thus, the reinforcement details given in part 1 of example 4.1 for SDC-B can be used for SDC-C. Is it true? If we are designing this building in ETABS, is it giving me the same result? The answer is no. So let me open this in ETABS. Same model, and in concrete design preferences, I have already changed the seismic design category to C. Seismic design row is 1 and SDS value is 0.41. So these 4 parameters have already been changed. Because of that, what is the impact? The impact is on the load combination. If you go and see the load combination, here the seismic factor is 1, dead load is 1.282. That means it has already considered the effect of rho as per chapter 12 of ASC 705. Now let us analyze. Since the same model I am using, so I am not going to explain how the model is developed. You can see my previous video. Here what I want to emphasize, that if I am going to design this slab using ETABS and I am just changing the seismic design category from B to C, then what is the impact? One must be understanding what is the impact. Now let's go to design, concrete frame design. Well, we can start design, no problem. Now I can design slab. Now we are talking about reinforcement in the column strip at grid number 4. Now we can check. Here there are 45 bars as top reinforcement, and the bar diameter are bars are number 5 bars. There means ETABS calculated as 45 bars of number 5 bars. If you see my previous video, at same location the numbers of bar were 26 only. That means now 19 bars are added over here at the same location. Almost 73-74% bars are increased. That means, very important thing, in that book it is said that either you are considering seismic category B or seismic category C if you are designing this as a building, but the slab you are designing only for the gravity load. Then in both the design conditions it will be the same. But what the code says, that in designing seismic category B and C, you should or you may consider the effect of the slab in your design. And if we consider that, then the same model, it gives steel in the slab at this location, which is almost 74-75% higher than this value. So this is a very good lesson learned. Let me explain to you guys at this moment that if you are using blindly the software, or you are using blindly any book, you should not do that. You should learn from that, but then you have to do your own calculation. You have to check each and everything. Now in this example, we saw that the reinforcement in this slab is increased by almost 74-75%. That means lot of steel is added for the same building, same load cases. The only difference is now the building is designed as SDC-C building. Before it was designed as SDC-B building. So one should be very clear, if you are using ETAP and you are using this building in various seismic design categories, then you should know what are the requirements and what are the provisions and how it should be done. And very important thing is, especially in seismic design category seismic design category C, if you are designing a building in SDC-C, then your reinforcement of the slab should develop a full development length at the ends. That means you have to make sure that the bars are long enough at the end so that it will develop a full development length. So let me conclude, otherwise the video will be very long. Maybe in next lecture I will consider the design of the beams, and I will explain what is the impact of design of the beam. For the time being, let me stop over here, and I'll ask my viewers to think to design a concrete structure if it falls in seismic design category B, C or D. You have to be very careful in using your software, in using any reference book. You should use your engineering judgment and you should go through it, go through the codes and standard and check and see what is the impact. Here is a classical example. You can see that it has a tremendous effect on the design of this slab. Hopefully you will like this presentation. Please do not forget to subscribe my channel, and I should say thank you at this moment. Thanks. Bye.